Welcome to Kicking Balls FC. This is the post-game edition for El Salvador versus the United States, USMNT. I'm finally back. It's been a while since my last post-game analysis. The last one was the Gold Cup between the United States and Mexico. I actually came back from a very mini vacation. I had a chance to settle in. I actually came back a while back, but then I did some visiting some family, and I actually had a chance to watch the game twice. Once on Paramount Plus, and then the other one on Universal Telemundo, the Spanish television. So, the United States. What can we say about this? A lot of people thought that, even me included, I have to, be honest about this. I really thought that we were going to get 3 points out of this game. I really thought, because if you look at the squad, you can clearly see a big difference in quality, right? But, as the old saying goes, never count out CONCACAF. CONCACAF is a beast that if you've never played it before, it will kick you literally in the balls. So let's look at what happened between the United States and El Salvador. All right. So if you're looking here, you're looking at the starting lineup. You're looking at Matt Turner in as goalie, Serginho Dest, Tyler Adams, Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, Josh Sargent, Brendan Arison, Miles Robinson, Tim Ream, Conrad de la Fuente, and then Deandre Yedlin. All right. So it looked like a very decent lineup. I really wish that Tim Ream wasn't in that lineup. I kind of wish that John Brooks was there, because he's had, has CONCACAF experience, but I guess it would have been too much for him. Because we're probably saving him for that Canada game. And then Conrad de la Fuente was actually a surprise inclusion. He's been tearing it up in France League, in League One. And Miles Robinson from Atlanta United got the nod after a very good, Gold Cup final against Mexico. He won scored the winning goal. Brendan Arison came off from a very good Champions League qualifier, scored 2 goals. Josh Sargent, he got into a new club with Norwich City in the PL, in the Premier League. I still am not convinced that Josh Sargent is our striker. I just don't see it. I don't see it as a positive thing. I don't see it as him being the answer to our troubles. I don't see it. I clearly don't see it. I think that, if we were really trying to find a striker, I kind of wish that maybe Ricardo Pepi should have maybe gotten a nod, or maybe Subicu, or Pufak, as he wants to be called. But I think that, thinking about it, this was the game that Josh Sargent had to step up, because everybody's been saying, a lot of U.S. fans are saying, Josh Sargent, if he gets the right service, he'll put him away. Well, he got all the service that he wanted, and he still couldn't put it away. And I'm still thinking that if you are a striker, you should be a striker that is red hot. And right now, the only striker that is red hot at this very moment is Ricardo Pepi. Pepi should have gotten that nod, at least in the second half, to get baptized of CONCACAF. And I feel like Ricardo Pepi is the type of player that is built for this type of CONCACAF tournament, World Cup qualifying. So now, looking at grading all the people that played. So it was 0-0 as a draw. We got a point out of it. But it doesn't seem that we're unhappy with the point. This mediocrity that is in the mainstream media of the U.S. pundits saying that, it's very hard to play against CONCACAF teams away. It's very difficult to win over there. No, stop it. All right, just stop talking, okay? Because if that was the real deal, and I'm trying to compare it, what would be a good comparison to CONCACAF? Just like the traveling, the altitude, the fans. I guess like the closest thing that I could possibly see is our neighbors to the south. I'm talking CONMEBOL. Look at them. They're not complaining. They're playing. They're winning some games away. It's rainforesty. It's humid, altitude, and they still manage to win. And I'm not saying as a comparison from the U.S. team to those South American giants. I'm not. But it's enough with the excuses. We cannot be feeding the new soccer fans and saying that a draw in El Salvador is a good result, because that type of mentality can sneak in, and then we could possibly be looking at climbing our way to qualifying. I still believe that the U.S. will qualify for the World Cup, but it's going to take a lot more effort and a lot more precision and technical ability in making sure and controlling the ball. All right, so just looking from the starting lineup. All right, Matt Turner, going down that list. So Matt Turner did a very good job. He's not a good keeper to play in the back. You kind of saw that in the first half when one of the defenders actually passed to Matt Turner, and I guess the ball was a little too rough, and then he conceded a corner kick. But he is a shot stopper, so no question about it. Just make sure that it's, I don't know, it's. I think we need a keeper that is giving playing time, and I think that trying to think like what could have been a good moment for Matt Turner. I guess just for him, just stopping the ball a little bit, and thinking about his technical ability. He did what he needed to do. Thank you for joining in the chat, man. No, I'm just talking to anybody that wants to listen. I just want to talk about the USMNT, the USA soccer team, see how they did it. And then anybody that wants to leave a comment below about what were your feelings of this game. Was a 0-0 result, was it a good result for the U.S., or was it okay, or was just a failure? Because for me, I'm thinking it's a failure. I don't know. So for me, it was very frustrating just to see how bad this U.S. team played. And yes, again, we cannot have any excuses on the field, because they actually cut the field. I've never seen the pitch so good in San Salvador, and I've seen the U.S. played in San Salvador before, all the way back. I remember the last time that they played was a 2-2 draw. Again, but if there is a silver lining out of all of this, is that the U.S. is actually unbeaten playing in El Salvador. They actually have 2 wins and 3 draws, and the third draw came here. But I'm thinking just to myself, going back to giving the grades. All right, so we talked about Matt Turner, looking at what he was, doing. He did what he was supposed to do, stopping those chances from from getting into goal, and you can't expect anything more from him. You can't. So Matt Turner did what he needed to do, but could have distributed the ball better. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now going to Serginho Dest. Serginho Dest, I believe that, oh man, he really got a baptism of what it is to play in CONCACAF, because the Serginho Dest that I know, when he plays for Barcelona or he plays in the States, his level wasn't there. His intensity wasn't there. He was doing a lot of cute stuff with the ball. And, it can work in Europe in most of the time, but when you're talking about World Cup qualifying, you kind of have to like put that in the rear end. You have to be very direct. You have to be direct on the wings. You have to make sure that you have enough help as well, and not do too much yourself, because yes, Serginho Dest did a lot of good dribbling around it. He actually had a shot on goal, but it wasn't powerful enough, and he needed to do more, like do some connection passes. Now, I think Serginho Dest, he's not a right back. I don't think he's a right back. Or did he play at left back? I'm not sure, because it was just all... He wasn't a left back. Let's just say that. He wasn't a left back. He should be playing on the right. Sorry about that. I actually had a little bit of confusion. He should play right back, and hopefully he'll be ready for that Canada game. All right, Tyler Adams. He did okay for being a captain. He did everything calm. He was very good in actually one-on-one situations. He actually made sure that his back line behind him, all the defense was organized. They were trying to limit El Salvador's chances on making any type of dangerous plays. So I'm glad that he's finally wearing the captain's armband, and I know he kind of is under the fire right now, because he said that he was looking for a 9-point, 9-point result, and now you might have to settle for 7 or even 5 points. I really hope they do get 7 points, right? Because if it's 5 points, man, like we really need to like step back a little bit, and you kind of have to forget winning the Gold Cup, winning the Nations League, because this display that we saw yesterday from the U.S. soccer team, it needs to be better. It just has to be. Gio Reyna, all right, Gio Reyna, there's a very funny video of him, 2 funny videos, I would say. There was one in the first half, if you remember, in the very first beginning, that there was like a smoke bomb that happened or something exploded, and he kind of like was, kind of twitched a little bit, because he was a little nervous, because he's never played in this type of environment, I think, besides the U17s, if that counts. But now, looking at it, I think that Gio Reyna is going to look at this game. He should see that he's trying to provide the right service, but he doesn't have a player like his teammate in Dortmund that can put the ball in the back of the net. So he's trying to do a lot of stuff himself, and you can kind of see his frustration, because a lot of players weren't running or making runs that he is used to pass the ball. So it makes him kind of hesitant a little bit, because if you notice, when he's on the final third, he was trying to look from both sides, trying to see who was open, but the runs were just so late and so lazy and so slow that it just frustrated him. So hopefully he picks up the pace against Canada. Weston McKennie, if you didn't think that Weston McKennie played for Juventus, you wouldn't think he was playing for Juventus, because he was just getting overrun a lot. He was trying to do a lot, too much, and he was overthinking things on the final third. Let's just say that. Josh Sargent, I keep saying it, man, this is not the striker. He needs to start banging goals in Norwich City, because I can see that Josh Sargent right now, he is a kid that's lacking confidence in himself in putting the ball in the back of the net. And he needs to start gaining some confidence, because he's getting into these right areas to score, but he's just thinking way too much. Every single time that I saw Sargent just getting close to the final third, I think that he is just over analyzing it, and he's trying to do a lot of tap ins, meaning that he's trying to get as close to the goal as possible, and he feels that he's trying to get the players all around him and trying to find if there's like a good player close enough to the goal and just score it very close so it doesn't do that much effort. If I were you, Sargent, just shoot it. That's what you're a striker for. Shoot it. If you shoot it hard, good things will happen. Trust me. That's just the number one thing that strikers have to do. All right. So now looking at Brendan Aronson. So Aronson was a little quiet actually throughout the entire match. He was, trying to do his best to try to replicate what Pulisic was trying to do. But I think he was doing a little too much. I think he should have, maybe made it more simpler to himself and just play to his strengths, because he's just doing way too much. And again, I really thought that he was going to do that. So give me one sec. And yes, also I will be talking about other performances as well. So thank you for the chat. So for me, I think, what do I think about Mexico's performance? They actually did pretty okay. There was actually a little bit of scare in Mexico's performance. I really think that they were very lucky to come out with a win, because, man, I remember watching the highlights, and I saw a little bit of the game against Mexico, that they had a tap in to make it 2-0, and then in the next minute they get scored by Jamaica out of nothing. But I see Mexico. Look, Mexico is gonna walk through this qualifying. I don't know what these other people are saying. Mexico are gonna, they've done this. They've been there, done that. I think Mexico is gonna walk to qualifying. That's all I'm saying, because they have nothing to worry about. Okay, going back to this. Brendan, so Miles Robinson, he did okay. There was a couple of mix-ups that I kind of was worried about him. But he did enough. He did enough to make sure. And I think this was a good game. And he's played in these types of environments, especially in CONCACAF Champions League with Atlanta. So this shouldn't have been anything new for Miles Robinson. Tim Ream, it's, for me, crazy to think that Tim Ream actually had a decent game. But there were times when Tim Ream really scared the crap out of me. And hopefully this was only, the only time we're going to see Tim Ream. Because probably he was there as a veteran, because he was one of the only veterans from that night in Cova in Trinidad and Tobago. So he did okay, but for me, there needs to be someone else, either John Brooks or Chris Richards. Those are my center backs. Conrad de la Fuente, man, Conrad, he is good. Let me tell you, the way he was just making things out of nothing, he has a bright future for this team, and he will probably be in the last 23 roster for the World Cup. I'm telling you that right now. Conrad has that flair of him just saying he doesn't care if he's in El Salvador, doesn't care. He will run through you if you're not careful. So I think Conrad, he was probably the best player in the entire game out of all of the starting 11. This is just my opinion. And then the last player, DeAndre Yedlin. So Yedlin, he did okay, but then I kind of was a little nervous at the very end, because he has speed. He has speed to make sure that those dangerous crosses, don't become anything more dangerous. But that yellow card that he got kind of has me worried. And then the substitutes that came in, PFOC did okay. I feel like he should have done better on the final third. Roldan didn't do anything, in my opinion. I think his brother did more than what he did, and that's the same something. I'm thinking like if we even got the right Roldan in our roster, oh man. But Sebastian Lletget didn't do too much either. Acosta had that one chance when he got that header from McKennie. Should have done it much better. McKennie should have done much better. I have to bash on McKennie again because there were so many times. That one time when he was about to head that header, that should have been a goal. That should have been a goal. He's done this before in Juventus. He should have done that there. But none of the substitutes did anything that I thought was good. So now 0-0. The United States now are 1 point. And what's really interesting is that out of every single game in CONCACAF, only Mexico won their game. And then going back to Mexico, I keep saying Mexico, they're not. I have them being first in qualifying because they do have the veterans that have played in qualifying, and also a lot of their roster that plays for the Olympics. They're getting integrated in that team. So I don't think they're going to miss anything. But again, if you notice that none of the away teams actually won away, they did steal a point. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mexico could steal a couple of points or win away. I can see that happening, especially against Panama, because I would think Panama could be the weakest team that they play. But it was nothing but draws. The U.S. versus El Salvador 0-0, Canada versus Honduras 1-1, and that was in Toronto. And then Costa Rica versus Panama in Panama 0-0. And then Mexico won in the Azteca empty stadium in a rainy day 2-1. So it would have been problematic. I thought literally that it was going to be a 1-1. It was going to be nothing but ties in the CONCACAF. But again, Mexico found a way at the very end. So what do I think of this entire performance for the U.S.? I think that they really need Pulisic. Let's get that out of the way. I really hope that Pulisic is ready to go against Canada. And I think this when Pulisic is on the bench, you can kind of tell that he's frustrated. And I think he's gonna light a fire. He's gonna light a fire on this team, saying, "Okay, you gotta dust yourselves. We got a point. Could have been 3, but we gotta win at home. It's a must win." And anybody that says that it's not a must-win at home, they're crazy. They're kidding themselves. So now let's look at what's ahead of us. So the game that's ahead of us is going to be the United States versus Canada in the U.S. I do have the U.S. winning, but I feel that it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a very close game because it also depends how Canada approaches that match. Because that 1-1 draw against Honduras has to have a sour taste in their mouths, a bitter taste in their mouths, because they could have won that game, Canada. And I think that knowing that, they might want to try to see if they could maybe steal a point or even get 3 points away from the United States. Because if it's any type of repeat of what happened in the Gold Cup and the group stage matches, the U.S. might need a little bit of magic. They might want to score in the first 20 seconds of the game and then defend like banshees at the end. But we don't know. Hopefully the U.S. figures it out. They probably will. And I feel like the way the game is going to go, it can go 2 ways. Number one, the U.S. is going to play timid like they did against El Salvador, and there's going to be so many missed chances, and there maybe squeak a 1-0 win against Canada. And then now another scenario could be that now that Pulisic is back into the team, things can start getting better. Now I think Pulisic, he's going to be in a man of a mission. I'm telling you right now. He is going to be fired up. He said after the failing of qualifying in 2017 in Trinidad that he's going to have this mentality of nothing but winning. I think if Pulisic was in that roster in El Salvador, I think that would have changed the dynamic of the game. I really think so. So I really hope that type of Pulisic attitude and flair and play comes into it, especially against Canada. So if that scenario does happen, we can maybe see maybe 2 or 3-0 win against Canada, maybe 3-1. And then I think Pulisic, I believe he'll play in Honduras. I just have a feeling that he will because he wants to right the wrongs from the last qualification. So this is the first step. This is the first match, right? You got a point away. And I've said it in my Twitter. You know it. The positive thing out of getting out of this match is that you got 1 point. The negative is that you got 1 point. See how both things could be exactly right. Yes, a point is a good thing, especially you stole it from the home team. But again, if you had so many chances to put the ball in the back of the net, I still consider it as a loss. But a point is a point, and we have to move on. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think that could be a possibility for the United States? Do you think there's gonna? I know there's gonna be rotations. What would your starting 11 be against Canada, knowing that in the next 3 days you have to play Honduras and San Pedro Sula, because you also have to make sure they have to rotate. All of the teams have to do the same thing. There's going to be no team that's going to play the exact same starting 11 for all 3 games. You kind of saw that with Honduras, that their number 12 got a cramp after converting the penalty kick. And also injuries could happen. So that could be it could sway things. So hopefully I'm praying that the United States wins against Canada, right? It doesn't have to be pretty. You just have to make it. You just have to do it. All right. And once they play against Honduras, they have to get a game plan, because they need to have 7 points, because 9 is out of the window, and the most thing that they can do is now 7. So they have to win their next 3 games to be comfortably in the World Cup qualifying standings, because from what I'm seeing right now and from what I'm hearing from from the sports medias, that I guess the best scenario is 5 points. I don't see that. I don't think that's a good enough. I think that with the talent that they have, with the players that are playing with the best teams in the world, you have to expect better. And a lot of the fans, what's so funny is that a lot of these soccer media giants that talk to the fans, they're trying to minimize our understanding of the game, even though we know what a good game looks like and what a bad game looks like. Because if a lot of people are screaming the same thing, you kind of have to think, maybe they have a point, right? But for me, I'm trying to remain optimistic as possible. I really hope that the United States gets it together. I hope they do. And that, this upcoming Sunday, we get the W. We have to get the W. There is no ifs or buts. If we don't get the W, it's going to be a failure, and we really need to start questioning Coach Greg Berhalter, because I think one of the people that was talking in Paramount Plus, Aguchi Onyewu and Charlie Davies and even Clem Dempsey, the only thing that they were good at saying was that if things are not looking well by November, we should consider changing managers, because we cannot let this talented group not go to the World Cup, especially that we're hosting the World Cup in the next 5 years. We can't let that happen. So hopefully the United States turns it around and everything looks well. So yeah. So what are your thoughts, guys? Were you frustrated? Were you angry? Were you expecting this type of choppy, sloppy play in San Salvador in La Cuscatlan, or were you expecting a better result? Is 1 point good enough, or is it a complete utter failure? For me, this is just my opinion. Like I said, it's an utter failure, especially with all those chances that we had. Because I don't care what anybody says. You can be playing in Antarctica for all I care. If you have a quality team, you should be able to win regardless of the environment, because that's how you get a winning mentality, right? Because a winning mentality is that you get the job done regardless of any other circumstances. And that's what the U.S. Team needs to figure out. So hopefully there's a prep talk for them, and they get things fired up for Sunday. And I know they're going to be fired up, especially with that poor performance in El Salvador. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully I will be doing another post-game analysis against the Canada game. I don't know if it's going to be right after the game or the next day, because, man, these games are so late at night, and I really need to kind of analyze the game, maybe watch it twice, and then get a better example, or give you my analysis of what I think went well and what didn't go well. So thank you guys, and again, if you want to continue helping this channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, share it to your friends. This is Kicking Balls FC, when we're kicking balls to the truth. And what's the truth? The beautiful game, football, soccer. So be sure to follow me on Twitter and on YouTube as well. And I'll be talking all about anything that has to do with soccer, especially the USMNT, the USA team. And then also I'll be talking about Champions League, MLS, and other leagues that are big in Europe and also in South America as well. So alright guys, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Peace out. Take care. God bless.